Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. We are about to start our program. It's 10 p.m. from the Philippine time. Today we have a webinar on developing green skills to produce skilled worker for the future. Now today we have two presenters. Number one, the respected Dr. Ramhari Lamichani, Director General CPSC Colombo Plan Staff College. He will discuss and share with you the concept of the sustainable development, followed by education for sustainable development and the importance of the green TVET in the TVET sector. And the second presentation is myself. My name is Abdul Ghani Rajput. I'll share you some practices adopted by different TVET institutions around the world to implement green practices in order to sustain the environment. Let me share you one important about the CPSC webinar. Yesterday, I did a short research. I contact my different colleagues, different friends around different, working in different organizations like ILO, GIZ, and in government organizations like in Bangladesh and like in Malaysia. I discussed them how many programs they have organized so far in order to build the capacity of their practitioner during this COVID-19 time. I found that the CPSC is mega another history during this COVID-19 time. They built the capacity of TVET practitioner more than 9,000 people. And we have arranged almost 25 webinar program. So once again, thankful to Dr. Ramhari Lamichani for his continuous guidance and supervision to support and organize this kind of program for you. And your support, without your support, it was not possible. So I would like to welcome you once again for today's webinar. Now I would like to request Dr. Ramhari Lamichani to welcome you and start his presentation.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks, Mr. Ghani, for introductory remarks. Once again, on behalf of Colombo Plan Staff College, I would like to welcome all of you in this webinar. Today's our topic is greening TVET and sustainable development. I think now most of the country, they have already, eased their lockdown situations. Like in Philippines, from today, we are in the GCQ, not the extended quarantine. From today, there is an office also. So most of the countries, they have already started their work. So maybe after 2 weeks, our situations will be different. So in this regard, I would like to welcome all of you and enjoy your work, maybe at office or home. So now, without further delay, I'm going to start my presentation. As we discussed today, I'm going to present about the greening TVET for sustainable development. This is my first part. Then the second part will be followed by Engineer Ghani. So my presentations will focus on what are the different aspects of the and concepts, aspects, and why we have to focus on greening TVETs and 5 pillars of TVET. These things I will cover. So presentations will cover introductions about the green and greening TVET, little bit about sustainable development goals, and the definitions of the green jobs, green skills, greening TVET, TVET and sustainability, and paradigm shift of TVET, and some way forward as in recommendations. So these are the topics I'll try to cover. If we see here, the former General Secretary of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, mentioned about, sustainable development is a pathway for future. what we want for all. Means this is a kind of framework, generate economic growth, achieve social justice, exercise an environmental stewardship, and strengthen governance. So he highlighted in this sustainable development pathway, 4 important things are there. Like there should be economic growth, and there should be social justice. We cannot forget about social justice, like a cultural things, and stewardship for environmental protections and the strengthen governance. So when these 4 elements come together, then only we can consider as a sustainable development according to his definitions. Therefore, sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So if we are talking sustainable development, means we have to do our activity, but we cannot compromise. We should not destroy our resources for the future generation. Means if we consumed a lot from our nature, from our gift, as a natural gift, maybe the future generation might suffer. That's why we should not forget our future generations and their needs, remembering that all the practices, our habits, our activities should focus to utilize for sustainable development. So regarding therefore, sustainable development means 3 important elements are here: economic development, environmental preservation, and socio-cultural maintenance. These 3 elements is the vital elements for sustainable development. If some countries is very rich, doing very good economic development, but other 2 elements are lacking, means that is not sustainable development. Similarly, some country like Nepal, Bhutan, we are very good in environmental preservations, like a natural part, but economic development part is weak. That's why, but trying best. Similarly, another element is socio-cultural maintenance. So in the name of development, we cannot destroy our social cultural things. We cannot destroy our cultural existence, religions, a lot of practices. That's why where these 3 elements meet together, that is called sustainable development, SD. Okay. So if the point where these elements meet together means to be a sustainable development, all these 3 elements should be developed or maintained. Then only we can say sustainable development. So now I'm going to talk about what is green skills, because many people might confuse what is green skills. When we talk green, always we remember agriculture, always we remember tree, always we remember green environment, but exact meaning is not that limit, The green skills agreement, there was a green skill agreement in France. It defines that the skills sustainability as skills for sustainability, also known as green skills. So another term of the green skills is green skills for sustainability. Like that, those 3, if we impart competencies to our graduates to enhance those 3 elements of the sustainable development, means that is a green skills. And these green skills should be technical skills, knowledge, values, and attitude, that this is like others, So that's why green skills means skills for sustainable development. So you can see some examples here, like solar panel, like alternative energies. This is the example of Philippines, like vertical, wall, vertical gardening things that is very common in Philippines, and greenhouse things. We have to teach that type of things for the agriculture, and similarly electronic vehicles. So if we in our automobile, if we teach that electrical battery charging stations, electrical vehicle, and electrical vehicle maintenance things, that is called green skills. So within automobile, this is one example. That's why green skills means skills for sustainable development. Okay, so now we will talk about what is greening Tibet. So greening Tibet, nowadays we are using the term greening Tibet, not green Tibet. Green Tibet means green skills. But as a management perspective, always we have to focus our Tibet greening means continuous effort. That's why greening, it is a continuous effort in the Tibet system to produce graduates with green skills. Okay, so our efforts, our governance, our management, our activities, our policies, whatever we bring in a continuous manner to produce graduates with green skills, that is called greening Tibet. And like inputs, curricula, teacher, money, machines, infrastructure, students. So when we talk about the inputs, if we are talking about inputs, for example, curricula, within curricula, there should be green component, green skills component. And similarly, we have to train our teachers in the greening Tibet concept. They should know what is green skills and what are the approaches we have to take. Similarly, in the beginning, for greening Tibet, we need a lot of money, resources, and we need appropriate technology for the green skills. We cannot provide green skills from the ordinary, machines and equipments. Maybe process might be same, but equipment also we have to like green vehicles things, and infrastructures and students. We have to, orient our students also in that line. Then second step is process, like course delivery. During the course delivery also, we have to practice green things, green skills, green mechanism, green approach, green practices, green culture, lot of things we have to do there. And we have to change our methodologies, methods and approaches. It might be difference. Networking, and we have to do a lot of networking with industry and the organizations related to green movement, and operational management as well. Then only we can produce competent graduates with the green skills or sustainable skills for sustainable development. That's why from input to output, the whole process, continuous effort to produce graduates with green skill is called greening Tibet. Okay, that's why hope now you have a very clear concept about green skills and greening Tibet and sustainable development related skills. So greening Tibet is a movement. It is a journey. It will never stop. This journey will not stop. It might be changed destination. The journey reach one destination, reach one milestone, then another milestones will set. That's why greening Tibet is a journey within the green movement of the technical educations. So now what is green jobs or occupations? So green jobs or occupations preserve or restore environmental quality according to ILO for sustainable development. It helps protect ecosystem and biodiversity. Means if we are talking about green jobs or occupations, that green jobs will protect ecosystem and biodiversity. So it will not destroy our nature. Because if you remember in the beginning definitions, if we hand over this beautiful nature without compromising and without damaging its biodiversity resources to our next generation, that is called, sustainable development. That's why the skills are occupations that protect ecosystem and biodiversity. Similarly, if the occupation reduce energy, consume less energy, less materials, and less water consumption through high efficiency strategy, that is also considered as green jobs or green occupations. Similarly, decarbonize the economy. If in the economy, the green jobs and occupations decarbonize, if the country has a very less carbon producing country, they get benefit from the developed country. That I know very well about this. So decarbonize the economy is the another characteristics of the green jobs. Similarly, it minimize or altogether avoid generation of all forms of waste and pollution. So the jobs which minimize or avoid to produce more wastage and pollution. So these are the characteristics of the green jobs or occupations, okay? So now we have a challenge, how to convert present occupation to green occupations. That is the challenge for us. That is the key message we have to consider in today's discussion. So all of you are aware about Sustainable Development Goals, like beyond 2015, after the Millennium Development Goals. Beyond 2015, the United Nations brought these 17 goals as a Sustainable Development Goals. So all are very important for us. Number 4, quality education is the key concern for us. But education is the cross-cutting issues to all remaining goals as well. So it has a direct and indirect relations with the other remaining goals. That's why, what are these goals? I'll show you one video. Please watch this.
We can be, we must be the first generation to end extreme poverty.
The generation
Most determined
to fight injustice and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
The 15-year plan.
Everyone, everywhere.
With no one left behind.
Where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty. Where no one
goes hungry.
Where no one wakes in the morning asking if there will be food today. We will live in a world where no child has to die of
diseases we know and have cure, and where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
goes to school, and education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life. We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities to thrive and be powerful and safe.
We cannot succeed without we will live in a world where all people can get clean water and proper toilets at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone,
Heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper and new wealth
Leads to decent jobs,
for everyone.
and we will live in a world
Where our industry
our infrastructure and our
best innovations
We're not just used to make money, but to make our lives better.
we will live in a world where prejudices and extremes of inequality are defeated.
inside our countries, between different countries, where people live in cities and communities
That are safe, progressive,
support everyone to live there.
where we replace
What we can see, planet where we put back what we take out of the earth. We live in a world that is decisively rolling back from
where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas. Restore and protect
life on land, forests, animals,
itself.
with peace between and inside countries where all governments are open
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
and the justice rules, with everyone equal before the law, where all countries we their people,
Work together.
partnerships of all kinds to
Make
make
these
this
reality. These are the United Nations global goals.
for sustainable development.
Let's get to work.
Okay, now, if you see the 17 goals, the number 17 goal is partnership. To achieve all remaining 16 goals, the partnership is very important. That's why if we are talking about greening Tibet or introduce green skills in our institute or in our Tibet system, we need a strong partnership with industry, private sector, public sector, community, local government, because you need a lot of resources for the greening initiatives. So partnership is very important. That's why to achieve sustainable development goals, our roles and our importance of the Tibet sector is very important. In this present COVID-19 situations, we can realize how important is environment protections, how important is natural things. So what is all the things, what is happening, like different viruses are coming because we are destroying the nature. That is a kind of impact to human beings. That's why as an Tibet institutions, as an education provider, we have to contribute to sustainable development goals through the Greening Tibet movement. So I already talked about skill agreement. You might have heard this, the Paris Agreement. You know, the Paris Agreement in 21st conference, UNFCCC 21st conference of Paris, it was happening in 2015 December, adopted a historical international climate agreement to strengthen the global response to climate change in the context of sustainable development. That's why, based on this agreement, each and every country where we are, we have to contribute through our Tibet initiatives for the sustainable development. That is the responsibility of the member country of the United Nations. So therefore, education for sustainable development and Tibet, if we talk about the ESD, means education for sustainable development, the ESD. The ESD concept was coined by UNESCO. That's why in each and every educational programs, we have to teach our students concept of sustainable development, education for sustainable development. Similarly, ESD promotes a sense of both local and global responsibility. So when we teach the education for sustainable development component, it will create, sense to the students or graduates about their responsibility for both local and global context. And Tibet curricula towards the 6R principle. So all of you have to check, do you have your curricula with this 6R principle or not? 6R principle means reuse. We have to teach our students to reuse the materials, reuse the items, things, and reduce. So how to reduce energy, how to reduce water consumption, how to reduce resources. That is very important. Means we have to save resources to hand over for next generation. So, and renew, recycle, repair, and rethink. Okay, that's why it is called 6R principle. So these 5R, like reuse, reduce, renew, recycle, repair, that is very important, but rethink, we have to think twice. Then only we can apply sustainable development. That's why in our Tibet curricula, always we have to check, are we following this 6R principle or not? That then we can consider as that we are contributing for sustainable development. So Tibet is heading towards sustainability. Gradually we are trying like a change of the business as usual approach to sustainable development approach. So now, as a Tibet provider, we cannot consider our traditional Tibet programs. We have to think about sustainable development approach. We have to introduce that 6R principle. We have to revise our curricula. We have to reorient our teacher. We have to change our equipment. We have to replace our existing. For example, we can replace our existing tube light to lead light and switch up concept. A lot of things are there. So we have to do that. And economic sustainability. So economic sustainability is the another elements of sustainable development. That's why we have to teach our students economic related knowledge, skills, and attitude. For example, after graduations, if they go for job or if they go for self-employment or to establish enterprise, they should know about the economic knowledge, economic principles, like what are the, how to minimize the cost, maximize the profit, cost-benefit ratio, that type of thing. Simple economic knowledge we have to teach them. And social responsibility. another important things, we are not only TVET graduates and skilled workers. We have an equal, responsibility for the social sustainability also. That's why for social sustainability, we have to fulfill our responsibility. That's why we have to teach our students in that line. So basic needs of the people, regardless of classification, are satisfied. Means how to provide basic needs for the people of the society. So what are the social responsibility of different citizens? That is very important. That's why the social sustainability parts comes under our attitudes. So these are the, that's why TVET should focus on these three elements. Not like business as usual, sustainable development approach, economic sustainability. That's why we have to teach about economic principles, about how to minimize the cost and maximize the utilization of resources. Then we have to teach our students what are the social sustainability aspects. Regarding the building and education response that support better planning for greening jobs. So what are the, how can we building? How can we do? There are 4 different steps. First, a more clear approach to look at green work. So first of all, who we are involving in our TVET systems, we should have a very clear approach to look at the green work. Don't be confused. Don't be ambiguous about this. We should have a clear concept. Then sector studies that investigate the greening of work at micro levels. Then we have to do some research. If you have, let's say, 3 programs in your TVET institute, different programs. So under each programs, we have to do micro research. What are the greening work within that sector? For example, construction. So within construction, what are the green jobs, greening elements in the workplace? So we have to do research. That's why sectoral study is very important. And third is realistic picture of employer-led or organizational demand for green works. Then we should have a clear picture of industry or employer. What type of workforce, what type of green works they are looking for. Means we should have a strong network and linkages with the industry to produce green skills graduates. Means what are the skills, green skills industries are looking for. We should have that information. Otherwise, how can we produce? Similarly, improved and more consistent information on green occupations. So similarly, there should be a system to get updated informations and continuous informations about the green occupations in the labor market or entire globe. That's why we should have these 4 elements. Means first we should have a clear concept, clear approach about green work. Then we should do some studies, research related to that subjects. And there should be we should have a very clear pictures of the employer, what type of technology they are using, what are the facilities they have, and what type of green skills they are looking for. And all the information should be generated by a systematic approach. That is, these 4 elements are very important to implement greening efforts in our institutions. That's why we should have a better planning for greening work, okay? Green skills is specialization in an occupation. For example, if we are talking about, let's say, mechanics, general mechanics. So within general mechanics, for example, how can we make that greening occupations of that general mechanics or motor mechanics? First, we should know the field of knowledge. We have to give that persons about the field of knowledge. Then materials worked on or with. So field of knowledge means greening concept, green occupations, sustainable development about that occupations. Then what are the materials we can use as an greening elements for that occupations? And kinds of goods and services produced. So what type of goods or services we produce from that job, from that occupations? That also very important. And tools and equipment used. Okay, so if we are talking about the greening occupations, providing greening skills, green related skills to our students, these 4 elements is very important. knowledge related to field with sustainable development. Materials, what are the different materials? Kinds of goods and services produced. So if we provide material, but if we are not producing, if we are producing plastics, means that is not green occupations. Okay, and tools and equipment used. So based on the equipment, tools also we can consider that is a green occupation. So these 4 elements are very important, and green skills specialization elements. So regarding the 5 pillars for greening Tibet, these are considered as 5 pillars, and it was generated in 2010 by CPSC, and Professor Samuel Mazumdar, who was the Director General of CPSC at that time, he created these pillars. Okay, so we have to recognize him. And green campus, that is the one element. We have to make green campus, green curriculum, green community, green research, green culture. If we have these 5 pillars and working very strongly, and these pillars are supporting to erect the building or system in Tibet system in your organizations, then only we can consider that or this institute is going towards greening movement. Okay, so green campus, the one example. This is the picture of one of the polytechnics of the technical school of the Philippines, that is called QNAS, and this institute is the one of the gold awarded institute of APAC, Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certificate Commission. This is one of the gold awardee institute in Philippines. Why I am showing these pictures here means green campus means when you reach the main entrance of the institute, you can sense how is that institute, how greenery is that institute, how is the surrounding of that campus. See, this is the main gate of this QNAS, and inside, see, the forest and trees and well-maintained, even swimming pool. And this is the guest house of that campus. And there is a swimming pool. And see, if you can see here, some of the this integrated farm, fishery, restaurant, all sort of things are there. And looks the walking passages are neat and clean. So you can feel this is an institute. That's why greening campus means you have to manage campus with these elements. Energy management, how you are managing energy. Is there might be solar energy or windmill, or only electricity means how you are minimizing electricity bill. That is very important. Then water management, classroom or receptions, lot of wastage are not managing properly. Everywhere you can see plastics. Everywhere you can see a lot of garbage. Some bad smells are coming. There is no segregations of the garbage things. Means that is not good institute. So how is the waste management things up in that institute? So are we teaching waste management things? Like for example, agriculture and hospitality related institute. You talk about housekeeping. You talk about agriculture. You talk about organic fertilizer. But do you have waste management system, and do you produce organic fertilizers by yourself, and do you have pollution control mechanism? That's why if you have properly managed this campus considering these 4 elements, that is considered as one of the green campus. We don't need big building, but how we are maintaining that building and surroundings, or let's say land of the institute, is called green campus. Okay, hope you got the concept. And second one is green curriculum. Green curriculum means green technology. So in our curricula, are we introducing green technology or not? Clean technology. Similarly, we are teaching to our students clean technology or not? And green skills, as we already discussed, are we focusing on green skills and ESD programs or not? So these elements should be incorporated in your curricula. Then only we can consider green curriculum, okay? Similarly, green community. So where are we working? Do you have a very strong partnership with the community or local government or any agencies? And through your polytechnics or technical schools, are you contributing to your local community? For example, to install solar power, to support for water supply system. For example, in the proper management and installation of solar panel, the one polytechnic institute can install the solar panel in one of the electric vehicle charging station. Maybe this station can be owned by local government, and technical support can be provided by technical school who are doing mechanical course, or solar PV technicians, or alternative energy programs. Means how you are contributing to the community. Are we giving some leading example for the green community, making green like tree plantations, nursery development, selling your nursery plants from technical schools to community? There are many ways we can do partnership with community. So green community means we can provide capacity building program for the community people. We can transfer renewable technology. If you teach renewable technology in your institution, do you have transferred that technology to your community? That is the major questions. Outreach programs, we can conduct many outreach programs with community. Then resource support, what are the resources we are supporting to our community? And unique practices. There might be very unique examples. All of you might have done different ones. So different institutions have created great examples. So we have to focus these elements. Like this roof itself is solar panel, see? If we teach this technology in rural area, instead of creating corrugated sheet or something in the plan, why not to give a technology with solar panel, and it will work energy and roof proof from water and wind. So these are some technology we have to transfer to the community. Then only we can consider. And these pictures, these solar panel pictures from Myanmar. Okay, this is one of the pictures from Myanmar. And another is green research. So have we done, like I mentioned already, if we are providing 4 or 5 different sectors, different training programs, different diploma programs, have we done research or not? Action research is very important. So research related to green skills. So what are the industries they are using? What are the technology in green works, green jobs? What are the skills the industry are practicing? What are the green related skills and approaches by other countries, other schools? We have to do research. So regarding renewable energy, water treatment, waste recycle, and green innovations. So these are the area we can conduct different research. Then only we can consider that institutions has a green research pillar is very strong. Otherwise, your remaining 3 pillars will weak. Similarly, green culture. You see, no plastic, no smoking. So within our institute, please turn off light when leaving. So do we have that practice or not? Always even in the night, principal's room's light never turn off. Means there is no attitude of green, there is no culture of greening, green cultures. And every time the security guard has to go and turn off. That is not good. Everybody, whoever leave the rooms or institute, they have to turn off light. And like a wastage management, green, general waste, plastic, aluminum related or paper, we have to segregate the waste. Then don't spite here. We can see in some countries, like, even in the institute wall, you can see the spit, different marks, like especially pan parag and gudka things. So that type of institute means that is not the green culture. And don't waste it, like means in cafeteria, we are throwing vegetables, we are throwing food, we are throwing fish, we are throwing meat. We are not doing proper management of the food management, because if we waste many foods, means we are consuming more resources, and we are not saving, we are not preserving for our next generations, for our next users. That's why this type of cultures we have to develop. Okay, that's why in our institute we have to develop green values. We have to write these are the green values of institute, and we have to develop green attitude, green ethics, then green practices. Okay, then only we can consider that institutions has a green culture. Therefore, need paradigm, so I'm almost in finishing stage. Therefore, need paradigm shift in Tibet, like from knowledge, skills, attitude, we have to paradigm shift greening Tibet, greening knowledge, skills, attitude with 6R. Reuse, reduce, renew, recycle, repair, and rethink. So we have to paradigm shift from general Tibet to greening Tibet. So recommendations for greening Tibet, if you want to maintain greening Tibet in your institutions, first develop policies and strategies related to greening, then apply Green Tibet framework. Philippines, TESDA has Green Tibet framework. Hope every countries, they have to produce and they have greening Tibet framework. Within Tibet, we have to develop greening Tibet framework. And there is a greening Tibet framework of TESDA. If you want to see as a reference, you can go to TESDA website and download. Then awareness programs, we have to do a lot of awareness programs, awareness within the institute. We need to aware top management, we need to aware our teacher, we need to aware our students, we need to aware our staff, we need to aware our stakeholders, our partners, our community. Reorient curriculum and HRD. So from existing curriculum, we have to convert green curriculum. Then we have to train our staff, promote multi-stakeholders partnership. So as I already discussed, you need a lot of resources in the beginning. So identify different partnership. Research and development is very important. Implement education for sustainable development in Tibet. So this is a continuous cycles. If you follow this, then only you can bring green skills in your institutions and greening Tibet movement will move ahead. So concluding message, I don't want to protect the environment. I want to create a world where the environment doesn't need protecting. So as in Tibet institutions, we want to create a world where the environment doesn't need protecting. Thank you very much. So this is a conceptual part. Now I would like to request Engineer Ghani to explain about some good practices of the different countries and some innovations in the greening Tibet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the nice presentation, excellent presentation. So presentation is displaying?
Yes, Ganiji, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Go to full screen.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to everyone. It is great to see all of you here once again. And thank you very much for attending today's webinar on greening skills. Just respected Dr. Ramhari Lamichani has already shared the concept of greening Tibet, including education for sustainable development, and he also shared the concept of the 5 pillars of the greening Tibet. Now in my today's presentation, I'll share you best practices of greening Tibet adopted by different institutions around the world to achieve the sustainable development goals. Yesterday, I had a conversation with one of the webinar's participants that how to prepare skilled workers for green sectors such as energy, construction, transportation, and so on in order to achieve the sustainable development. The question is that now why do I tell you this? because my goal of the presentation is to share the application of the green skills that are necessary for the future skilled worker in order to achieve the sustainable development. Let me start. First, I'll share you one book. The book is written by Mr. Smith. In his book, the title is The World in 2050. Smith predicts that there are four major forces that will shape the world in 2050. And these major forces are: number one, demographic force; number two, natural resources force; number three, climate force; and the number four is the globalization. You all know that very well. And we are observing these forces nowadays. For example, in demographic force, he predicts that the world population in 2050 will be 9 billion, means it will be double. And it's a big number. Another example, currently we are consuming natural resources in a very fast way and producing excessive carbon emissions and toxic waste that affects the lives of the earth. Therefore, it is very important that world as well as the Tibet stakeholder has to look for viable alternatives in terms for the generating renewable energy. This is the one example. And in this regard, United Nations design and develop 17 global sustainable development goals, which is already shared by Dr. Ram Harichani. The objective is to achieve better and more sustainable future for all. When you see the sustainable development goals, sometimes you're so confused because sustainability is a critical issue in the modern world. And the future generation is expecting from us the world for them and the better world for the future. So it is important the green awareness program should be arranged for all the stakeholder. It may be Tibet stakeholder, it may be industry. Based on this, I prepared my presentation, and the outline of my presentation is: first, I'll share you the types of worker, followed by green sector, then green best practices adopted by different countries, then approach to integrate green skill into curricula, and finally conclusion. You know that this pictures clear very well types of worker. You have heard about the white collar workers. They are the suit wearing lawyers, managers, sales managers, bankers, etc. They are sitting behind the office desk. Then there are blue collar jobs, which are quite relevant with our Tibet stakeholder, filled by machinists, electricians, constructions worker, and so on, and practicing their trade in factories and in the building sites. Today, in the labor market, there is a new trend in the introduced, that is a green collar worker. A green collar worker is a worker who is employed in an environmental sector of the economy. And with the invent of the green collar worker, there are thousands of jobs created. For example, now we need technicians who can repair and maintain the hybrid car. This is the one example. So they all have the common goals of improving the quality of our environment by reducing waste and pollution. So that green collar workers nowadays playing a very important role. In this regard, similarly, we have green sectors. These green sectors are energy, construction, transportation, water management, waste management, and land management. Each sector have its own description and importance with regard to the sustainable development. For example, in water management, one of the important elements which is already shared Dr. Ram Lamichani about reuse, means water recycling, which is also called reclaimed water. Reclaimed water is a process of converting water, wastewater, into water that can be reused for other purposes. And therefore, it is important for the TVET practitioner and the future skilled worker to get skills and knowledge how to reuse water in their occupation. What are their jobs? I think you know the plumber, you know the hotel manager, chef, because we all are from TVET sector. We know the duties of the plumber is to install and fix the pipes and fixture such as sinks and toiletries. Due to this green jobs, do you think plumber is required green skills to support the sustainability? Do you really think? Yes, because in order to save the water, plumber has to set up toilets and fixture in such a way that floor water can be used for other purposes, maybe for the purpose of the flash. In this way, water recycling is possible. That is very important for them. Similarly, for chef, auto mechanic, and hotel manager, I'll share you their example in my later slides. These are some examples, green skills examples, that students will be trained and assist on the hotel kitchen operation, maybe cookery competencies with the integration of the green skills. And the one green skill is proper waste segregation. The one example of the proper waste segregation on the left hand side of my slides means we have to set up 4 boxes, maybe 5 boxes, depends up to you. How many types of items do you have? 1 box for the paper, glue. Then for the glass, you can have another box. And then plastic and then metal. This is the one example of the green skill, proper waste segregation. Then right way of waste processing is very important for the chef point of view, for the chef. And the right way of waste reusing or recycling of water. So these are very important skills for the kitchen operations. These are the example. Now, one example of the green job, which is already discussed, Lamari Lamishani Saab. Now, another example is the automotive services technician. Now, we have repair and maintenance of the car. But nowadays, we have green fleets, hybrid car. In order to maintain the hybrid car, we need service technician, hybrid car service technician. There's lead to the new occupation. This is the new jobs. Thousands of millions of jobs created by the green sectors. So we have to think, we have to see over there. Now, based on this scenario, different institutions and countries establish green culture, green practices, green community practices, as well as the 5 pillars in their institutions. I'll start first from South Africa. It is very well known. Greening of TVET implemented by South African TVET institutions, and the following are the TVET institution. These success story also validated by the UN. The colleges are Poland TVET College, Central Johannesburg TVET College, East Cape Midland TVET College, North Link TVET College, Northern Cape Rural TVET College, Port Elizabeth TVET College, Umfilsay TVET College. So these are the institutions. They implement the 5 pillars of the green in TVET, which is developed by CPSC. The number 1 initiative they taken, they replace the tap water with the drinking fountains to save the water. This is the one simple way. Simple way, if you want to save the water in your institution, you just replace the tap water with the drinking fountain, maybe with the motion sensing tap water. So these are the initiatives taken by Poland College. Similarly, if you want to save the light, what they did, they installed the motion sensing light in their classroom, in their institution to save the energy. Similarly, they placed the sticker near to the switches. Save the energy, please switch off after use. So this is another example. These are the small initiative you can support the sustainability in your institution by applying. Then they apply the greening the fleet. Why use the green cars? Because green cars are reduce the operating cost. You do not, because the normal car using petrol or diesel, green cars can be operated using hybrid batteries. So they can reduce the operating cost. They can reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. it will improve the image of the institution, corporate image. So this is very important initiative taken by Poland College. Similarly, East Cape Midland College, they also use natural light instead of electric light in their classroom. They place windows. Similarly, Northlink College, they save 10% of the college energy by installing saver. You see, 10%. If you multiply in the years, it will huge money you will save by if you install saver. And so on. Port Elizabeth, they also install saver. East Cape Midland College, they establish a waste management system. With the cooperation of the recycling company, they develop a public-private partnership in order to achieve the sustainable development. So this is the way. In this way, we can also do it in our institution. Similarly, Port Elizabeth College first step in regard to establishing a waste management system. They also established a waste management system. Folzoi College, they did a recycling of the paper. They install a machine to do the recycling of the paper. The most important, Port Elizabeth College, what they did, they collect the toner, empty toner from all the colleges, and they refill it and thus supply to once again to them. So toner cartridge collection. So that is another green practices. And the East Cape Midland College, they arrange a training in renewable energies in a green energy training workshop. You can also arrange a training in your institute, just like we are doing over to aware you. So these are the steps to avoid, to support, to aware the concept of the greening pivot in their institution. Other initiative, they install solar thermal panels. They construct a dome-shaped building for low-cost housing. They install LED lighting and so on. So you see number of initiatives. In each initiative is related to the five pillars of the greening pivots. Now another very good practices, very good program, which is called Global Eco-Village Network Program, and it's a community-led program. Means community is actively participating in this program. And the purpose of this program is to improve the poverty, eradicating the poverty, is to restore the natural environment. That's another objective. And another purpose of achieving the climate resilience and finally implementing the sustainable development goals. I'll share you one short video in order to give you more overview about the Global Eco-Village Network Program.
On a global level, we have divorced ourselves from the natural world by misusing resources to fuel more consumption, driving climate change and threatening all life. 50% of biodiversity on the planet has been killed off in the last 40 years. Natural disasters continue to devastate with greater frequency and intensity. Only 60 years of topsoil left with the current level of farming practices. We know all this, yet on so many levels, we continue with business as usual. Why? How can we reawaken to our capacity as healers and guardians for regeneration of life? How can we harness one of the most underutilized resources of our time, the good intentions of citizens, and our wish to be part of the solution? Eco-villages all around the world have been pioneering beautiful alternatives and innovative solutions beyond the systems and structures that are collapsing around us. What is an eco-village? A community using participatory design processes to integrate ecological, economic, social, cultural, and all systems dimensions of sustainability for a regenerative future. The Global Eco-Village Network acts as the connective tissue between all of these communities, with all of the wisdom and experience of a global network to help transition to resilience on local and national levels. Let us introduce you to the Eco-Village Development Program. The Eco-Village Development Program, the national implementation of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the climate agreements, catalyzes the power of community. Step 1, inviting and participating. Invite strong communities within a country to learn more about the eco-village movement, explaining the process of eco-village design, sharing inspirational examples from around the world, showing how eco-village is a process, not an outcome. Communities decide whether they wish to join and start to consciously design their own pathway into a sustainable and regenerative future. Step 2, planning and integrating. Facilitate a 5 to 7 day eco-village development training for local stakeholders within each of the pilot villages to support the identification of their needs, assets, and leverage points. The community formulates the first phase of their eco-village development plan. This includes developing a fundraising plan and building alliances with local and national authorities, NGOs, and social enterprises to support implementation of the development plan. Step 3, training and implementing. Facilitate demand-driven trainings to prepare for implementation. All stakeholders implement phase 1 of the Eco-Village Development Plan. Step 4, measuring and evaluating. Measure and evaluate the outcomes to see what works and what needs to be improved. Share inspiration and change stories to celebrate wins and gather feedback. Step 5, refining and scaling. Refine the plan, continuing with implementation. Now that this eco-village is up and running and regenerative development is well underway, we identify the next round of villages for the program and start the process again. Global Eco-Village Network catalyzes the power of community for a regenerative future. To learn more about the Eco-Village Development Program, visit ecovillage.org/EDP.
I hope you got the idea of the Eco-Village Network program. You see how a strong relationship they build with the community. Community means your private sector, your local community, your institutions, and so on. So all community are jointly working together in order to achieve the sustainable development goal. It's a very, very good and very well-known program. You can try to implement in your country as well. Now, another best practice about the green venues, very important, because nowadays, like green venues means like TVET institution, it's also venue. Like hotel, it's also venue. Like I can say hospital, it's also venue. There are a number of venues, okay? In order to have a green venue, there are 5 best practices for green venue. Number 1, dedicated staff. It's very important. Nowadays, UN is suggesting and recommending that we should have a dedicated sustainable staff. Successful green venues should find values in having a staff member solely dedicated for the managing the sustainable operation. So very important, if we have a dedicated staff, we can easily monitor the progress and we can ask what is going on. Then next step is sustainable sourcing. That is another step for the green venues, and it's green venues commonly buy their food products normally far away. Better to buy from the local supplier, because if you buy from the local supplier near to your venue, it will save the consumable cost of the carbon footprint by using the transportation. So better to buy the local supplier which environmentally friendly for you. So this is another practice. Third is the waste diversion. You should have a waste segregation system or other approach in order to save the environment with the pollution. Number 4 is the green roofs and spaces, because green roofs are essentially a roof that is covered in a vegetation. All right, green roofs help reduce the heat and affect urban areas, as well as the helping to reduce energy caused by better insulating the building to protect it from the direct heat. So this is another practice. And the last one is the energy reduction. For energy reduction, you should install solar panels, you should have savers, and so on. So like this, you have to do like this. These are the 5 practices for the green values. Now I'll share you one scenario. This is a question left in behind you. There are 2 exhibits, Exhibit A and Exhibit B, because we all belong for TVET sector. And I'm asking question to you, what is the difference between Exhibit A and Exhibit B? Which one is green, if any? Do the design difference between A and B require radically different sets of skills for their installation and repair by a plumber? You have to think and answer me on the chat. You see, the exhibit B is the size of the flash tank is smaller than the exhibit A. If we use the exhibit B, we can save the water. That's why it's a greener as compared to exhibit A. Because the flash water tank is higher, if you put the more water, the water wastage will be more as compared to the small tank. All right. Thus, the question is, do the design difference between A and B require radically different sets of skill? No, because we just reduce the size of the flash tank. The same skill sets is required for this purpose to install this kind of exhibit A or B. Now, another scenario. Now we have two heaters, water heaters. Okay, exhibit A, one left hand side, exhibit B on right hand side. Now, question once again, do the design differences between A and B require radically different sets of skills for their installation and repair by a plumber? Do you think it is required different skill sets to repair, install? Yes, because in exhibit B, the water heater is operated using these solar thermal plates. Nowadays, there are courses which is designed based on the green skills, which is called solar cum plumber technicians. Okay, now plumbers are getting skills to install their product with the use of these solar thermal plates. So for that purpose, they require different sets of skills in order to repair and install exhibit B and exhibit A. So different sets of skills required. So these are the two real scenario I presented. I hope you got the idea. Now moving towards CPSC initiative. Since 2010, CPSC is striving hard to implement green practices in order to achieve sustainable development goals. I shared you already the 5 pillars of the greening TVET is the founder of the CPSC by Dr. Majumdar. He was invented this concept, and the rest of the world is using and adopting these approaches in order to implement the green TVET in their institution. Similarly, CPSC take a number of initiatives, like they decided in 2010, okay, no need for the use of the aircon on Friday, because if you do not use aircon on Friday, you will save the energy for one day. They decided no use of the plastic bag with the premises of the CPSC, because we know that plastic bags are responsible to produce the toxin. All right, so these are the small steps taken by CPSC in 2012. Now, in the current scenario, CPSC take more steps. CPSC installs solar panels to save the energy, to use the renewable energy. Similarly, CPSC replacing their tube lights with the savers. Their current measures. Similarly, CPSC is working towards the green research initiative, like greening 5 pillars of the green TVET, and so on. So CPSC is taking number of initiatives in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. This is another initiative, very small initiative of the CPSC, like they place the sticker near to the switches. Please switch off lights as you leave. Thank you. Support the CPSC green policy. When you will go for the lunch, please switch off your AC, aircon. 1 hour you will save the money or save the cost of the energy. So you see, these are the small example you can apply in your institution, in your organization. So this is the CPSC Green TVET movement. CPSC launched this movement in 2012. Number 1 is the green campus, green technology, green research, green community, and green culture. Still, CPSC is implementing all of the 5 pillars. I'll show you a short video about it. I hope you already understand the CPSC initiative regarding 5 pillars of greening Tibet. CPSC is taking number of initiatives, still striving hard to save the environment and to achieve the sustainable development goals. Now, moving towards next is the Green University, which is University of Malaysia. They did a very well job. They also create 8 core pillars of eco campus blueprint, and based on the action oriented and transformational research to provide the sustainable solution to the campus. What are their 8 core pillars? Landscape management and biodiversity is very important. Second is the waste management. They develop number of initiatives how to do the waste segregation. Number 3, water governance, water management, how to recycle the water. Number 4, energy management. They install solar plates, thermal plates to save the energy. Number 5, transportation system management. They bought a number of cars, hybrid cars and green buses to support the transportation system of the university. Then green procurement, then educational management, environmental and climate change, and change management. These are the 8 core pillars, and each pillars they have taken number of initiatives, and it's a very good university. It's a green university in Malaysia. If you need more information, go to the University of Malaysia and find out green university over there. Their initiative regarding 8 core pillars. Okay, now moving towards Philippines. Philippines is the only country in Tibet sector to establish a green technology center for dedicated for the green programs, green Tibet programs. They develop and deliver quality green Tibet programs for their communities. They develop models of green working environments and workplaces for the Tibet stakeholder, the only institution. They facilitated development of the green training regulation. They first time developed the green training regulation. They conduct, collect, and disseminate green technology research. They conduct research on green technologies. They facilitate adoption of research and technologies. They establish green technology network with institutions and individuals both locally and globally. They sign MOUs with the local as well as the international institutions. They host green events like conferences, symposiums, seminars, and so on. They act as an information exchange hub for the green technology because it's the only green technology center institute established by TESDA. Serve as a link for green entrepreneur. So these are the objectives in order to establish the Green Technology Center TESDA. They develop trainings programs such as training cum assessment for trainers on photovoltaic system installation, National Certification Program 2. They also participative action research on learning styles leading to assessment of trainers on photovoltaic system servicing National Certificate Level 2. So they develop different training programs. You see the pictures of the Green TESDA Green Training Center. Now moving towards industry, like for the Toyota Motors Philippines, they also adopting green practices. They have to follow the rules and regulation of the countries, and they have to get the certificates from the government. And on the left hand side, you see the legal requirement for the green practices. They should have a pollution control officer. Pollution control officer means it's an example of the. I share you one green venues practices. This the dedicated officer. So there must be a pollution control officers. Okay, they should have environmental compliance certificates. They should have a certificate of non-coverage. They should have an environment impact statements. So these are the regulatory requirement by the government. But on the right hand side, you see they establish a counter for two. Number 1, biodegradable, and number 2 counter is in non-biodegradable. Biodegradable means the compound or the food may be further decomposed in order to disposable. Okay, non-biodegradable that can be not further decomposed. Okay, so they establish a counter for the employees to separate their used dining implements in this counter. So this is a very good initiative taken by Toyota Philippines. Another initiative, they also waste segregation system. They place their waste segregation system in their factory, and they also recycle the water. As a lot of water is being used in the facility, there are special drainage that enable the collection of wastewater that will treated before being placed back into the general use. They first treat the water, fresh the water. This enables the facility to save water and reduce its reliance on the national water grid. So in this way, they will save the water. So these are the practice. Some practices I'll show you over here. Now, another very good example from Bangladesh, Graman Shakti project. It's a microcredit loan. Okay, that in this project, the target was the poor rural population, especially women. Especially women. What they did, several of thousand young people and women get the certification on how to repair and maintain the PV system, photovoltaic solar panel system. All right, and they installed 220,000 solar system into rural areas. So if you have 220,000 solar system in different houses, definitely you need technicians. So they trained women in order to repair and maintain the solar system for their home. So that is indirect job. New business such as community TV shops, solar change mobile phone centers, and electronic repair shops, they will work over there. So you see on the right hand side, a lady is providing training to the women how to repair and how to use the solar system in their home. And one woman is replacing the solar plate at their roof of the home. So this is very good project implemented by in Bangladesh government. Then the Australia have 4 policies regarding green practices. Number 1 policy is the National Action Plan for Education for Sustainability. Number 2, National TVET Sector Sustainability Policy and Action Plan. Number 3 is the Green Skills Agreement. I'll share you a little bit about Green Skills Agreement over here. The Green Skill Agreements allow TVET stakeholders to develop national standards in skills for sustainability within the requirement of the national regulatory framework. Means under the NVQF, they have to revise and update their curricula to incorporate the sustainability skills elements. They have to upgrade the skills of the TVET practitioner by providing effective training and facilitating in skills for sustainability. They implement strategy to re-skill vulnerable workers in their transition to a low carbon economy. So these are the main core elements of the green skills element. Now moving another initiative in Australia, that is the Green Plumber. And I really amazed when I saw this initiative. This initiative taken by Australian Plumbing Association. It means they have a plumbing association over there. And this plumbing association was established in 1891. And they developed this concept green plumbers with the help of the plumbing trade union and local authorities, means government authorities, and the financial support provided by plumbing industry and the Australian greenhouse offices. And they have successfully completed and certified as a green plumber. Now plumbers are in a better position to advise and inform consumers on the benefits of energy efficiency. They will tell to the customer, okay, which product is suitable for them in order to save the energy, in order to save the cost, water conservation, and the most appropriate and cost-effective appliances to suit individual needs. This program later was expanded to New Zealand, North America. It's a very good initiative. Now moving towards some examples of the curriculum, very important because already in the end, Dr. Ram told you that we have to revise and update our curricula. So how to incorporate green element into curricula, I'll share in the next slide. There are 2 types of learning outcomes in our standards: general learning outcomes and specific learning outcomes. Okay, general learning outcome will broadly define. Okay, specifically defined with the specific sector. Okay, for example, the student should be able to understand the importance of the natural processes, relationship, resources that exist in the environment. You see, this is very general. It's not specify anything. If you go to the right hand side, for the specific learning outcomes, explain the importance of the cycles of matter and energy supply. You see, very specific cycles of the matters. Explain. Then explain the need for management of finite resources. Then relate the above to global consumption, population dynamics. Be aware of the dependence of the action by individual and communities, and so on. So these are the general and the specific. Now, based on this, I'll share you how to integrate education for sustainable development into TVET curriculum. What is the approach? Okay, this approach is also defined by respected Dr. Majumdar, ex-Director General CPSC. He said there are two models. Number one, hunger for diffusion model, interdisciplinary. Hunger for infusion model, multidisciplinary. I'll show you one picture. You see hunger for diffusion model, interdisciplinary means there are sectors I shared in the beginning of my presentation: energy sector, automotive sector, transportation sector. Each sector has specific skills related to the sustainable development. All skills we have to collect and put to the education for sustainable development elements, means we get the skills requirement. This is called hunger for diffusion model. And if you go to the multidisciplinary infusion model, what you do, you have to identify the specific, not specific, general skills for the education for sustainable development and add to the specific sectors like this. You see, this is arrow towards the sectors and here arrow towards the sustainable development. So this is the big difference. So this is the, in this way you can integrate sustainable development skills element into curricula. I'll show you examples of the curricula later on. Now, if you combine both model is called hybrid model. Sometimes you can combine both model, use both model in order to integrate the sustainable development element into curricula. Suitable in the effort of integration education for sustainable development into TVET curricula. This model is suitable. This allows opportunity to create new multi-dimensional discipline for vocational and skill training based on emerging trades. Sustainable development is embedded and useful for preparing the workforce for the world of the work. So here the example, you see hotel kitchen operation, reduce negative environmental impacts. They incorporated these elements in the curricula. Okay, on the left hand side very broad and the right hand side very general. Use energy, water and other resources efficiency when cleaning premises to reduce negative environmental impacts. Safe dispose of all waste, especially hazard substances, to minimize negative environment impacts. Why we are integrating? Because it's very important for the future skilled worker. They know how to save the world by applying these skills into their practices. Another example, you see simple green skill integrated into TVET programs, clean and maintenance kitchen premises standards. Okay, in this, clean, sanitize and store equipment, clean and sanitize premises, reduce negative environmental impact. So in this way you see these are the examples of the integrated TVET program. Another, it's a very general, it's an Australia-based program. Okay, you see all the sustainable development related elements is defined over here. This is the approach which I share in the hunger for diffusion model. In this, they have used this approach for develop this competency standard for green skills. I hope you got the idea. This is my last slide. Now, moving towards the conclusion. The crisis for unsustainability cannot be solved by any kind of education that helped created the problem. The only way we need a new way of thinking, new approaches, methodology, and new content to create new TVET system in order to achieve the sustainable development goal. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, if you have any questions, please write it down on the chat room. Now I hand over to Dr. Ramhari Lamichani to respond any questions regarding his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ganiji, for an excellent presentation. Today there are not much questions I observe. Only there are three questions. One is from Mr. Rajendra Maharjan from Nepal. He asked, what is the role of individual persons which start from home, society, country, and global for the sustainable development? I think this is a very simple question, Rajendra ji. First, you as an individual, you have to change your mindset. how to utilize minimum resources. And you have, as I mentioned, you have to change your mindset, like rethink. You have to create values within your home for sustainable development. For example, less wastage. If your families are throwing the foods in your dinner plate or lunch plate, means that is not the sustainable development approach. That is not greening approach. Okay. So first you have to put less food in your dinner plate, but you can add up whenever you need. Don't throw your food. That is one. Second thing is, don't utilize plastic products, plastic things, don't throw, and garbage management at home. Same thing, and you can apply, like for electricity use, you can install solar things. Lot of things we can start from home. For that, we need to change our attitude, and we have to develop green cultures, green ethics, values. That's why you can make a 10 different green values at your home and post in your wall like a main entrance. Then everybody will see that. Same thing you can do your office, organization. And similar approach we can bring to in our society. Like as an individual, we are member of the society. Like somebody are member of the club, somebody are member of Lions Club, Leo Club, Rotary Club, Red Cross, political parties, Teachers Association, Tibet Teachers Association. There are many organizations we are involving in the society, like an insurance committee, banking committee, whatever. So we have to introduce this concept. When we go to the party, or let's say party, sometimes we are very careful about throwing wastage, food wastage in our home, but we are throwing food at party. If we are offering, we are getting by other people free. There is no free food. That's why that cultures we have to implement in society, and we have to teach the society activists, and maybe as a volunteer basis, you can be a greening practitioner in the society. So whenever people see you, oh, the persons of the green movement came, then they will be aware, Like if we see some tap water is throwing without using in the community, in the village, we can just close that tap. That is also a kind of attitude or culture we can develop. Same thing we can bring in our nations, like a greenery Tibet movement, Tibet system also everywhere, not only Tibet. If you are working in bank or if you are working in financial sector, everywhere we can bring this concept. And ultimately, if we start from home, from your individual hand or individual mind and individual heart, you will contribute to globe. So if you plant a tree in Nepal, maybe the soil erosion will reduce. The snow of Mount Everest and snow of Himalayas will not melted much because of environment. Then it will positively impact to Philippines and Fiji and Maldives. The level of sea will not rise. See, your small habit will contribute to the global environment protection. That's why I hope you are the key change maker. You are the key change agent for the entire environmental protections. Means Greening Tibet movement is one of the steps for the global environment protection. That's why you are the responsible citizens. So think from today, from home, then from nations to global market. Okay, hope I answer your questions. And there is a questions from Bangladesh, I think Sekawat sir. Can please give 5 examples of green skills? I think this is, there are, green skills, no, why only 5? Like there is a 2 important thing, Ali sir. As we explained already, green occupations are green jobs and green skills. Like if we talk about green occupations, means whole occupation related to green. For example, solar PV technician. Okay, that is a kind of green occupation. Or let's say nursery gardener, that is a kind of green occupations. But within that occupation, there might be different green skills. For example, If you teach a floriculture or gardener or nursery developer training, if you teach just to grow, just to grow plant or flowers, but same time if you teach how to use organic fertilizer, organic composting things, in that gardener training to use or organize fertilizer, this compost organic fertilizer is a green skills. If you teach just to use the chemical fertilizer, that is not green skills. Chemical fertilizer also produce the plants. Organic fertilizer also produce the plant. But chemical fertilizer will destroy soil, damage soil, but organic fertilizer will not damage soil. That's why how to use compost things and organic fertilizer, that is one green skills within that occupation. Another example is auto mechanics. For example, in our whole auto mechanic training, if we don't teach our students how to manage, how to reuse, or how to manage that used mobile of the vehicle, if we don't teach properly use that used mobile, maybe the mechanics will throw that mobile to the soil or throw to the earth. Means that mobile will destroy, that chemical will destroy our soil. And maybe it will destroy the drinking water system. But if we teach them how to properly use that used mobile, for example, used mobile can be used for painting wood. Okay, means if we teach that skill, that is green skills. And same thing in electricity. If you teach like a normal electric bulb or consuming, like we already discussed, tube light, but instead of that, if you teach, use like a saver light, maybe lead light, but there might be other damaged things within the lead light, some mercury things, then how to use that used mercury tube light, use bulb, that type of skills, if we teach that properly, that is green skills. Okay, so if you go to the hospitality sector, for example, housekeeping is an occupation. So in housekeeping, if we teach our students to make organic, or let's say very good organic chemical things for the housekeeping, cleaning things. But if we don't do that and just teach, to use chemical liquids, which if that liquids, our people throw that liquids to, let's say, bathtub or compost, means if we don't have very proper sanitation system, that drainage water may go to the earth or water resource, then it will destroy. That's why how to properly use that chemical liquids, or we can teach, don't use that chemical liquid, we can make a very natural liquid with the herbs, some different plants, because our foreparents, they use, they survive without that chemical things also. That's why if we teach that type of skill, that is green skills within housekeeping. And for example, food and beverage service, if we teach our waiter, waitress students how to throw that garbage things, when they clear the used plate, they have to segregate the garbage from the plate. If there are plastic related plate, throw to the plastic dustbin. If the meat items, throw them into the composite things like that. If we teach that way, that is green skills. That's why in every occupations there are green skills. So how we teach? If we teach with green concept, with green skills, that is a green skill. But if we don't teach in a normal way, that might hamper the environment. That's why I hope you got the answers. What are the examples of green skills? And we gave some examples already in our presentation also. And there is one questions like what are the practices used by CPSC? I think that questions already got answered from the Haniji's presentations. In CPSC, we have a green policy of the our organizational policy, and we have developed 12-point sustainable development policy of CPSC, and we have placed in our reception. Then we have a very specific smoking area. In CPSC, there is only one place where people can smoke within the compound. So you have to develop your organization in that way. If we observe all your staff are smoking everywhere, in classroom, in lobby, office, dining table, in front of guests, in front of other staff, and we are, not respecting the female staff in front of female staff, if we are taking smokes and other, things, that is also not green scale. So that is not our attitude. So CPSC has developed that 12-point sustainable development policy, and we are completing to replace all the tube lights, old tube lights with the saver lead lights, and this year we will complete that. And we have installed 2-3 solar already, where we use regular light. Those lights are taken by solar panel. So we are reducing our electricity bill, means we are saving our energy cost. That is another example of CPSC. And in CPSC, Ghaniji already mentioned, we are not using plastics. Like I can give you one example. If you people visit the Bonn city of Germany, in Germany, that city, you will not find any plastic product. Even water bottle, Coca-Cola bottle, whatever, beer, can. Everything are glass. That is in office, that is in home, the whole city is that. So we can bring that movement. So as an Tibet Institute, you can do partnership with your municipality or your local government, then convert your municipality into green municipality with this type of concept. Then, everybody, the future generation, everybody will remember your institute. This is happening in this city because of the these polytechnics, the polytechnics initiatives. Okay, so that type of partnership, that type of community partnership we can do. That's why. And another approach of CPSC is like we are not using chemical fertilizer for plant and just treating that way, and maintain greenery things. And every staff, when they go out, they have to, and every door we have placed the sticker, they have to switch off their light. Even if you go for half an hour lunch break, you have to switch off your AC, you have to switch off your electricity light, and when you enter into the toilet, you have to switch on and switch off the light. And we have written very clearly, like, make clean everything, because you might be the second user, another user of the same toilet. So if you feel, once you use the urinal, if you don't feel the next user, if you make a very rubbish things, the other persons will be irritated. That's why I think that way. That means we have to change our attitude. So that we can research. For example, I can give you I never hesitate, I can give my example. In my home, every members of my family, they have to clean their plates by themselves. So they cannot throw their plate into the, like dishwash things. Everybody has to clean by themselves, and there should not be any food wastage. That type of culture we have developed in our family. That is one example. Same thing we have in CPSC. That's why these are some good examples, and CPSC develops, and there is some. Is there any initiative as CP regarding research? We have completed some green initiatives by Toyota Motors, and CPSC. We did one research in greening Tibet recently, and we studied one greening Tibet practices by our member countries. Maybe next week that publications will publish, and you can find from our website. And there is a training manual for greening Tibet you can find from CPSC website. And we are conducting different like this greening Tibet programs. So these are the, and CPSC is the first institute who started this greening Tibet training programs in the world. So that's why I have to say proudly. So now many organizations, ILO, everybody talk about this. But we started these initiatives. And there is one question regarding why in accreditation there is no greening Tibet initiatives points in the criteria. Definitely there is. If you go to the inside, we have already introduced in governance and management and resource thing. There are the green practices will get higher scores. So we have already started. So in your country also you can do that. So we are thinking, we are bringing more weightage for greening initiatives. That is, thank you for that questions also. I think most of the questions we address. If there are any questions left to you, Ghaniji, please respond them. Otherwise, I can close.
Okay, sir. I have few questions. I have to respond it. I think this question is from Alam Sir from Bangladesh, Majumdar. Green contents in curriculum through a subject where all green related contents are accommodated or place green content in every elements of different subject when green issues arise. I think your question is quite relevant with the models I shared with you about the Hungerford diffusion model and Hungerford infusion model. I mentioned clearly that the first model, diffusion model, is very good model in order to implement, in order to incorporate the sustainable development generic concept, skills, and attitude to with the specialized course, with the specialized field. That model is very suitable. All right. And similarly for the Hungerford infusion model, in this model, we have to develop generic concept skills related to social development and have to inject it into the various disciplines which I mentioned in the picture, transport sector, energy sector. I hope you got my idea. So this is very good models, and if you need further detail about the Hungerford infusion and diffusion model, you can go and Google it. You will find more example about it. Okay, next question is how much is it necessary to include the contents of the green skill in the school level curriculum? All right, I think if you're talking about the TVET level curriculum, I can answer you like it is totally depends on the sector. Okay, if you're preparing a curriculum related to the energy sector, related to transportation sector, or maybe water and waste management sector, then you have to develop the contents and general skills with the involvement of the industry as well as the requirement of the social development goals. And based on this, you have to incorporate in your curricula. But if you are developing a curricula not related to this sector, other generic sector,
Hello, Ghaniji, any problem? Yeah, maybe there is a connection problem for him. So I think, hope we responded most of the queries. So there are ample of examples of green skills like less user in every occupations, in every subjects, we can apply green skills concept. So we can add green approach. We give a lot of examples.
Sorry, sir, there was an electricity failure.
Yeah, I already told. So any other questions left? No. Okay.
Yeah, I think the last question regarding one of the critic is in going green in its initial course of the institution. How do you convince people to move slowly towards greening? I think as per my understanding, to implement the greening concept in your institution, no initial cost is required. Just your dedication and motivation is required. You can start by placing a sticker to the near to the switches. This is the one example. You can place small plants near to your office. In these activities, no huge money is required. You just motivate them, convince them, your staff, just give the awareness, importance of the greening debate. They will definitely do it. Thank you, sir. Sir, now you have to conclude it, sir. Please switch, unmute your microphone, sir.
Hope because of these two presentations, I think we able to give some ideas, concept. I know all of you are very great practitioners of greening Tibet. So, we are just like a candlelight in front of sun, because all of you are practitioner and we are just like a teacher, talker, There is a saying, a cooking teacher cannot cook well and a cook cannot teach well. But we are like a teachers. That's why we talk a lot. But you are the real practitioner of greening initiatives. So I know I have visited many institutions in different countries. So they are doing very good initiatives in the maintaining greening Tibet initiative. So please think twice, because rethink is one of the principle of 6R. So we have to rethink and we have to start some greening initiatives. Start from your curricula, start from your teacher training, start from your policy, start from your activities, and at least in your strategic plan, please bring at least 2-3 activities related to greening initiatives. Then if you have, let's say, 20 curricula in your institute or 20 programs, start from 2-3 programs. Start from small components of your skills, and you can replace some equipment. For example, if we have a very traditional commode in our bathrooms, in our toilet, which consume 10 liters of water at one flush. So we can replace that commode by latest commode, which can consume only 1 liter water, and that is a soak and soak and air composting. That type of technology is green skill. So if you teach traditional plumber to that type of skills, that is called green plumber. So green plumbers means no need to wear green dress, no need to bring green pipe. Green plumbers means the new skills which can contribute to use minimum resources, like less water consumption, less electricity things, and wastage, the drainage wastage system properly. These are the things. If traditional plumber make a drainage system and throw that drainage system to normal waters like a river, that is not green plumber. That plumbing skill is absolute now. So that plumber should know what will happen if I throw that drain to the river. So then they have to develop that type. So that is called green skills. So hope we discussed a lot and time also too much. Once again, on behalf of Colombo Plan Staff College, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all of you for your professional attitude, commitment, sharing, and very valuable questions and insights. And we will be always like this, and this is a kind of learning platform, and we share whatever we learn, and we learn a lot from you, from your professional questions and many things. So I already told from this link, you can develop a linkage, and there are many good examples, like in Philippines, in Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, every country, Pakistan, India, all. Nepal, every country, they have a very good practice in some aspects. But one thing, I would like to, if you visit the TESDA, Manila TESDA's website, Philippines is the country where they have a green policy. The government has brought green policy. And like in different countries, some countries use environment policy. Some countries give different names, but most of the countries, they have their policy. So please read that policy and bring that policy into your Tibet institutions and contribute with at least 10 different activities which can contribute to that government policy. As you already know, in Sustainable Development Goals, quality educations will contribute to all the remaining goals. And the sustainable development, why the sustainable development goals they call? Because in each and every 17 goals, that is directly and indirectly related with sustainable development. That's why this is different than Millennium Development Goal. So once again, thank you for Colombo Plan Staff College team, and thank you to my team, and thank you all professionals around the globe. See you again. Thank you. Namaste. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
very
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Sir.
Thank